Okay, today I'm going to break down how you can book 3 to 5 or 2 to 5 qualified calls every single day for your coaching business. And I'm going to break everything down that we are doing to make this happen. So as you can see here, just some screenshots of our calendar. This is, today and the next few days, and then just some other ones as well, just so you can see that we're actually booking in a bunch of calls for this offer for one of our clients. And this morning as well, we just made another sale, which is cool, just to show you that, these calls actually do convert. This was the first call as well. So we have a few more, in the next few days. And you don't need a lot of followers to essentially make this happen, right? Like you don't need a big following on YouTube and IG and stuff like that to actually book a lot of good calls, as long as your offer is good, right? So I'm going to break down everything in this video, essentially from start to finish when it comes to booking in more calls. So we're going to be covering market research, how to get traffic, how to nurture the traffic so they are warm. So obviously the warmer they are, the more chance you have to book them in and to actually close them. And then the actual appointment setting. So I'll go into detail here, but we'll start with market research. So this is obviously important for you to understand your who you're selling to, your ideal client profile, your ICP, and also what is working in the markets, like any competitors, stuff like that. So kind of broken these into two sections. Number one is going to be customer research. So that's going to be like your ideal clients essentially. And then we have competitor research. So if we take this one first, basically you just want to understand like your clients and your audience and basically who you're selling to, like their desires, their pain, their struggles, kind of how they feel, like what is it that they actually want to achieve and how can you speak in their language and stuff like that. And a good way to do this is literally just ask them, right? Like ask your audience. You can do this on stories. You can do this on like anywhere in the DMs, for example. You can jump on calls with your current clients. Just ask them a bunch of questions to really understand like, what is their desire, like what do they actually want to achieve? What are they struggling with? What's the pain associated with that struggle? What have they tried before? How do they feel about this? All of these things, because the better you can understand who you're selling to and speak in their language, the better the marketing and everything is going to be, right? So we just literally have like a swipe file of like all the questions that we ask them, their replies. We do like a market research sheet, ICP and offer worksheet. So like this would be like just anything that you can fill in about your ICP. So again, your ideal client profile, your offer, the market you're in, any market research questions you ask your audience, stuff like that. And then obviously from there, you would make the offer like based off of what your audience and your clients and stuff are actually, looking to achieve essentially. Because if you speak to them, it's going to be easier to get them to resonate and get them to obviously pay attention and become a client. And then number two is going to be competitor research. This is also very important, where you actually understand what is currently working in the market, and you basically just take note of like your people. Let's say you're running ads and everything, you can look at what other people are doing and kind of emulate, not steal, but like take inspiration is what I would say, right? So what is currently working, outliers in their content, and then trendy like trends or ideas or stuff like that. So as you can see here, an example, all of these videos are from small channels, actually, except this one. This is a pretty big channel, I'd say, but these videos, as you can see, this is like the outlier score. So this video did 32x what the channel average is. So this tells us that something about this video is doing really well. So if you're in this niche, manifestation, blah, 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 whatever, you can take inspiration and be like, okay, shit, like this video did really well. Why? And then you can take inspiration. Same with this one. Same with this one, right? So you can just like look up other people and see what is any outliers they have in their content and stuff. And then from there, I just like to make a list. So again, going back to the swipe file, just adding everything into a swipe file with your own research, your like competitor research and stuff like that. So you can kind of understand what is it that I'm like, who am I selling to? And what is currently working in the market, like what is other people doing that is actually working. And for example, just to give you an idea, again, if you're running ads, you can do this thing where you just go in like just this guy, for example, you can go in here So if you want to see if this guy's running ads and what he's doing, you can click here about this account, and then you can click on his active ads, and all of his ads is going to pop up like this. So you can just literally look at his ads, what is working, and just take inspiration, basically, right? So again, just take an inspiration from other people, see what's working, understand your own clients, add everything into like a swipe file. I just use Notion or Google Docs, whatever. Just save the people that you want to kind of take inspiration from, save their ads, save all of these things, and you can look at them, when you're actually creating your own stuff. So that's going to be number one, market research. Number two is going to be obviously traffic, and also how to nurture that traffic. But number one is going to get traffic. Like, you need traffic to be able to have people to sell to, unless you do like cold outreach and stuff, which I don't really recommend if you have a coaching business, because it's just going to be a headache. But if you can actually attract the people that you want to work with into your ecosystem, then it's going to be way easier, everything. So obviously this is about getting the right eyeballs and then warming them up. So you obviously have two routes. You can do organic stuff or you can do paid stuff, right? So organic, I'm not going to go into like crazy detail, because you probably know how to do organic content, right? Like, you just literally create YouTube videos, Instagram, just like the one I'm making now, right? Instagram Reels, YouTube, let's say you do one YouTube video per week, you do like one reel per day. The hook value call to action is, a very commonly used structure for like basically any content, but like you test different hooks, you see what's working. Again, if you do market research and do all of these things, you're going to get a really good understanding of like what's working, what type of hooks hit, what's the actual pain points and desires of the people that I want to attract. And you can make content around those ideas. Again, so I don't really need to go into too much detail, because if you do this, you're going to get a lot of content ideas, and you can just make hooks and, basically content around those things. I want to say one thing though, like, you shouldn't really focus too much on getting as many views as you can. You should be focused on getting the right ICP into your ecosystem. So if you just make content to go viral, chances are it appeals to a too big, a too big section of the market, right? So not everybody is going to be a good lead, right? So again, if you focus on like making content for your ideal clients, it's going to be, way better. And then also making like personal and raw style content usually does really well, because the people in your audience can actually connect with you. So instead of just making like, oh, these are the 3 best tips to X, Y, and Z, you should kind of focus on making, valuable content, personal content, and, kind of do a mix. So you don't just become a robot, essentially. Right. And then on YouTube, a really good way, if you have a small following, instead of having like, let's say a VSL or like anything fancy, you can just ask people to, let's say, I'm going to do this in this video as well, but you can just ask them to like DM you on IG for some sort of resource, right? So this is a good way, because it's easier for people to just DM you for some sort of resource that you can give away in the YouTube video that you explain, blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. Than for them to like, book in a call with me, right? So that's just a good way. If you don't get a lot of views, for example, like me, sadly, then this is a good way to do it. But the other aspect is going to be paid, right? So we do both of these for our clients, organic and paid. And I'm also going to touch on stories, but paid is obviously where you pay literally ads to get views. And this is really good, because again, if you're trying to attract like a very specific part of the market, you can literally make your ads, you pay to show your ad to those people, right? So you have top of funnel ads and then retargeting ads, right? Those are basically the 2 types. So obviously you can do other like variations and stuff, but I would recommend just running cold ads to get new people into the ecosystem, and then retarget those people to, again, warm them up. Right. So a good way to start, especially if you don't have a big budget, like if you're doing, $1 million months, I would probably not recommend these. You'd probably be better off just, running a huge ad spend to a VSL, book a call funnel, stuff like that. But if you want to maximize, like if you want to get the best ROAS on like a smaller budget, doing follower ads and DM ads are really good, because again, you're not asking people to like book in a call. You're just asking people to give you a follow or to DM you for some sort of resource. And we get really good results with this, because it's easy for people to just give you a follow or, DM you for anything. And then they're inside of your ecosystem. They start seeing your stories, your organic content, which warms them up. They get retargeted. And then, which the last step is going to be about appointment setting, right? You have an appointment set, reaching out to these people, you have a conversation. So again, if you don't get a lot of traffic, for example, it's like you should be focusing on having as many conversations as possible. If you just run people to like a VSL, then chances are some people in your market are going to be running a bigger ad spend than you, and they're going to be able to pay more for a booked call than you can. And it's just a way more complicated way to do it. Like, this is basically just paying to get some conversations. And if you have a good appointment setting strategy, which I'm going to show you later, then you will be booking in way more calls doing this than you would to, for example, run people to a VSL or run people to like a landing page or something like that. So DM ads, follower ads, we're currently testing both. I'm going to show you in just a second. But a really good way to do this is, like, number one, if you make good content and you can see kind of what's working, what's bringing in good leads and stuff like that, you can kind of emulate what you're doing in the content. Because again, we're not trying to like sell people like on booking in a call or like anything crazy. We're just trying to get them to follow us or DM us for some sort of resource, right? So you don't need anything crazy. You can literally just, for example, boost some of your good content. Or what you can do is obviously make it more intentional with the ad. So a good way to do this is obviously, again, just talking about the hook, like having some sort of curiosity based or controversial or like a hidden info, right? So this is working really well with us currently, where we're basically telling people something that they probably haven't heard before. Because when you're in a saturated market, a lot of people have tried a lot of things before. So if you just speak about like the same generic stuff, chances are people aren't going to really be too interested. But again, you give them some sort of like a controversial, curiosity-driven hook. You give them the value. You can also add in social proof and a call to action. I would say if you have a really good piece of content, people are going to follow you if they actually get value from the video, right? So you don't always have to do this, because a lot of people are running these ads currently. And if you kind of like just do the same as everybody else, it's going to be very like, oh shit, like this guy's doing the same as everybody else. So try to like be a little bit different, and potentially not even having a call to action on a follower ad could be a good idea, because you're not asking people to like, oh, give me a follow, but you're just giving value and they will give you a follow if they like the content, right? So you can test these. Like, I'm not saying anything is better than the other. Obviously, all of these variations work, but that's what I would say. So again, just running some ads, testing some stuff. And then testimonial ads is also a good idea, something that we're going to be testing, where you just literally, if you have any testimonials or results and stuff, you can just make those into a montage and have your clients speak about you instead of you speaking about how good you are yourself, right? So I've seen some guys really, crush it with these types of ads where they just run testimonials, right, as an ad, and people see the testimonial and they're like, okay, shit, this guy is actually for real, and they, follow you or DM you or whatever. And again, they get into the ecosystem. You can retarget them with more social proof, and just basically like show them the content that you want them to see in order for them to actually take an action down the line. And then, like I said, also no call to action ads, where it's like you don't necessarily ask people to like, oh, drop me a follow or DM me or anything. You just kind of like give them the value that they want to see, and they're going to take the action, based off that. So it's a little bit more like subtle. And I feel like a lot of people in the space currently are running these types of like, oh, if you are an X, Y, and Z, drop me a follow and go through my content because X, Y, and Z. And it's just like everybody does the same thing. So it can be good to like stand out. And again, we're not trying, like, you don't need like to be the craziest, how do I put this? Like, you don't need like the craziest copywriting to get people to, just drop you a follow, essentially. If you have good content, again, you need to speak to the right people. So market research is going to be very crucial. But again, just testing different things. So what we're doing currently, a good strategy is like we just test different angles when it comes to ads. We test different angles, different hooks, see kind of what is working, and just test different like ideas that we have in terms of like what do we think is actually going to work. And then from there, we see obviously what is working well. So for example, the previous campaign we ran, we had at least like 10 ads and 10 different hooks, and we tested like different variations and stuff, and there was one variation that was like 50 times better than the other ones in terms of like the DMs that we got, the quality and stuff like that. So you will instantly know like if something is working, it's gonna be outperforming the rest. And then from there we just double down on like the winners and basically made new hooks and re-recorded the video. So as you can see here, we currently have like 25 tests on with different hooks, and like we just couple the hooks with the different bodies of the video and stuff, and just like make a shit ton of variations. And then from here, we're going to be able to see, like we literally launched this yesterday. So we're going to be able to see like which ones are working and which don't work as well. And then we can double down again on the winners, make new hooks, and kind of just find ads that actually work based off of just, you know, making different hooks and making different ideas and stuff, and seeing what is actually working, and then making new variations based off of that. So that's ads for you. And then stories as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail on stories because this video is my last video, and it goes into detail. But stories are super effective when it comes to engaging your audience and just building a lot of trust. So doing results, doing day-to-day stuff, social proof, like I said, like results, basically showcasing your clients and everything, you know, call to actions, giving out resources, just getting people to opt into your stories on a daily basis is going to be probably one of the best ways to like just hammer your audience with, you know, what you want them to see, essentially. A very good way to warm people up, and also a very good way to actually book calls from stories again. So if you get people in from ads or content and stuff, a really good way to like get them engaged is through stories and polls and all of these things. So watch this video if you want to go into detail on stories. And I basically show you how we calculated the 24K in just 14 days with like all through IG stories essentially. And then when it comes to actually warming them up, like they've now booked in the call, what do you do afterwards, right? So we have a VSL, or like a pre-call video that we send to all of the leads, and we just warm them up. Like we explain kind of like what the call is going to be about, what the offer is about, who this is for, who this is not for. You know, we show them a lot of social proof, all of these things before they actually jump on a call. So our close rate on average over like the last few months have been over 60%. So like between 60 and 70%, because we really warm people up, and we also cancel calls that we don't find a good fit, right? So that's also a really good way to just get qualified calls, is just to literally cancel the ones that suck, or to like have a good close rate. And then we also have a pre-call nurture flow. So again, like basically stuff we send to people, videos and content and stuff before they actually show up to the call, and how we kind of frame it so they actually watch it. So this video, I'm pitching a lot of videos in this video, but this video shows you like our exact like flow after people booking a call to make them show up and be as warm as possible, and basically how we have like a 60% show rate, and as you can see here, 95% of them, or 60% close rate, and as you can see here, 95% of them show up to the call as well. So that's basically how we get traffic and nurture. It's going to be ads, organic content, and then funneling people through the stories, and then essentially what we do after they booked in a call, right? So a little bit more higher level, but you can watch these like detailed videos to go into depth. And then from here, obviously, we're getting traffic. We're getting the right traffic based off the market research. We have ads on, we're doing content, we get people engaged through stories. We have a solid process after they book in a call. Now we need to actually book these calls, right? So basically how we do this is with an appointment setter. So you can obviously do this yourself, or you can have an appointment setter. If you want to see, again, the detailed breakdown of how to find appointment setters, how to get them to perform, the exact structure to follow in the DMs and stuff like that, this video goes into detail, like super much detail when it comes to these things, how to find them, how to manage them, all of these things when it comes to appointment setters. But just to give you a high level overview, basically what this appointment setter would do is to reach out to every new follower that you have, everybody that comments on your posts, everybody that engages on your stories, everybody that views your stories even. So even just people watching your stories, you can reach out to those people. And you would basically have an appointment setter or yourself do like a minimum of 100 of these per day. So you would send 100 outbounds to your audience per day, and you would also do follow-ups, right? So if they don't reply or anything like that, you do 100 follow-ups. And then from here, obviously the goal would be to like get between 5 to 10 pitches and then book 2 to 5 calls. And if you've done all of this correctly, you have the right leads coming into your ecosystem. You're consistent with content, you're testing new ads, you're doing the stories. Even if you don't have a huge following, if you're running the right ads, you will get new people into your ecosystem. And if the appointment setter does a good job with, you know, the 200, you know, or even more like messages he sends per day, he should be able to pitch, you know, these people on calls. And then from there, he should be able to book at least 2 to 5 calls per day, right? And then also speed is super important. So being quick, When you get a new follower, be on their ass quick. Same with, you know, people reacting to stories. Just be quick to reply so you don't lose them in the conversation because you just didn't reply to them quick enough. So these are some, you know, structures to follow. By the way, if you want our entire like DM framework, like literally exactly what we give to our setters to make them perform in the DMs with, you know, the workflow, the KPIs, the outbound flow, follow-ups, all of these things, and also what they do after somebody booked in a call to make sure, again, they're warm as fuck, then just DM me on IG. I'll send it to you. And then, as you can see, the structure to follow basically is, you know, you have an intro message to these people. So getting them to reply, basically. We're also testing voice notes here. So sending a voice note is really good, just to kind of, because a lot of people are doing this, right? So you need to kind of stand out and make sure that people are replying to you. Because if you don't get any replies, you're not going to get any conversations, right? So just getting to people to reply. Qualification if needed. So we kind of base the qualification off of their profile. If they seem a little bit sketchy, we do qualification. If not, you know, we don't really go into too much detail, but this depends on the offer as well, right? So if you have a business offer, you might want to ask them how much they make per month to qualify them, stuff like that. And then the discovery, it's kind of like a sales call just in the DMs. So like you ask about their pain, their goal, their motivation, and the gap, like what's actually holding them back. And then obviously you transition to pitching them a call, and then you do the post booking report. And this is also kind of like the workflow that we give to appointment setters. Not going to go into detail, but as you can see, basically just focusing on like the opportunities that are already present in the DM. So like replying to messages, doing follow-ups, you know, follow up with people that didn't book in a call after you sent them the link. And then the rest of the day is just doing outbound, you know, replying to conversations, booking in conversations, stuff like that. So they would literally, like if you have an appointment setter, they would just be in your inbox all day, every day, and just make sure that, you know, you're actually converting the traffic that you get into your account. Or like I said, you can do this yourself as well if you have a smaller account, but that's it. So if you want this, just DM me on IG and I'll send it to you. And yeah, that's basically what we do to book between 2 and 5 calls every single day. Market research, getting the traffic right, and then having an appointment setter to convert them. And also, like I said, after they're booking a call, warm them up and stuff like that. That's it.